I was standing at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, with my checked bag and boarding pass in hand. I was waiting for my flight to Austin to surprise my son on his 35th birthday when I received his text message. I read it 3 times because I could not believe what it said. Dad, I forgot to tell you. We do not live in Austin anymore. We moved to Miami last week. Sorry for not letting you know sooner. I will send you the new address later. I felt the ground crumble beneath my feet. I had bought plane tickets. I had booked a hotel. I had packed gifts. And he, with that casual tone as if it were nothing, informed me that they had moved to another city, without warning, without consulting me, as if I did not matter. But before I tell you how I ended up in that moment of humiliation at the airport, and how I discovered the truth behind that sudden move, and what I did, when 3 months later, my daughter-in-law called me crying, asking for money for a down payment on a new house. I want to ask you something. Leave me a comment down below and tell me where you are listening from. Is it Illinois, Texas, Florida, New York, or maybe from the UK or Canada? I would like to know that this story reaches far, because what I'm going to tell you is not just my story. It is the story of many parents who gave everything for their children and received indifference in return. It is the story of family betrayal that hurts more than any other. My name is George Miller. I am 62 years old. I was born in Chicago in a working-class family. My father was a mechanic, and my mother worked in a bakery. I grew up watching them sacrifice to get me and my 2 sisters ahead. I learned from a young age that hard work and honesty were the only ways to succeed. I studied industrial engineering at the University of Illinois. It cost me a lot. I worked evenings at a welding shop while I studied. I slept little. I ate less. But I graduated with honors. I got a job at a U.S. manufacturing company that had just opened a plant in the suburbs, and that is where my career began. I worked 38 years at that company. I started as a plant engineer. I rose to supervisor, then to production manager. Finally, I became the director of operations for the entire northern region. I earned well, very well. I invested my money wisely. I bought properties. I saved. And when I retired 2 years ago, I left with a generous package that included a lifetime pension and benefits. I married Helen, an elementary school teacher I met at a college party. She was the love of my life. We had a son named David, our only child. We adored him. We gave him everything. Private school education, music lessons, sports trips, everything we did not have. Helen passed away 4 years ago from a respiratory problem. It was devastating. David was 31 when he lost his mom, and from that moment, he was the only close family I had left in Chicago. My sisters had moved to other states. My parents had passed away years ago. David was my only direct family link. After Helen died, I sold the big house where we lived. Too many memories, too much pain. I bought a smaller condo in a quiet, secure suburb, and I dedicated myself to enjoying my retirement, traveling, reading, spending time with friends, and above all, visiting David whenever I could. David studied business administration. He was not a brilliant student, but he passed. He got a job at an advertising agency in Chicago. He was doing well, or so I thought. He married a woman named Carla 4 years ago. He met her at work. She was a graphic designer. The first time he introduced her to me, I noticed something that made me uncomfortable. Carla talked a lot about goals, lifestyle, and living the good life. And when David mentioned that I was retired from a major corporation, I saw Carla's eyes light up. "That is great, George," she told me, with a studied smile. "I bet you have a very good pension. I have enough to live comfortably. And properties. David told me you have several apartments that you rent out." The question seemed invasive, but I answered politely. "I have some investments, nothing extraordinary." "How interesting. We also want to invest in real estate, but it is very expensive right now." David interrupted her, changing the subject, but I had noticed the interest, the calculation behind her questions. They got married 6 months later. It was an expensive wedding. David asked me for help to pay for it. Dad, Carla, wants a beautiful wedding, like the one you had with Mom. David, your mother, and I got married in a simple ceremony, with close family, nothing ostentatious. But times have changed. Now weddings are different. How much do you need? $20,000. I remained silent. It was a lot of money. David, that is excessive for a wedding. Dad, please. It is my only wedding. And Carla has specific dreams. I ended up lending him $15,000 with a signed promissory note. He never paid me back. After the wedding, the constant requests began. They needed a new car because Carla's was too old. They needed money to renovate the apartment they were renting. They needed to pay off credit card debts. There was always something. I helped when I could, but I increasingly felt more like a bank than a father. 2 years ago, David told me that he and Carla were moving to Austin. He had been offered a better job, better salary, better opportunities. Austin? Son, that is far away. I know, Dad, but it is a big opportunity. And Carla has always wanted to live in Texas. And what about me? When will I see you? Well, you will come visit us, or we will come here. It is not that far. It hurt me, but I understood. David had to live his life, build his career. I could not ask him to stay in Chicago, just for me. They moved 3 months later. I helped them with moving expenses. I sent them money for the deposit on the new apartment. I supported them in everything. The first few months they called me often. David sent me photos of his new job, the city, his life. I planned to visit them soon, but little by little the calls became less frequent, the messages shorter, and when I called many times they did not answer, or they answered in a hurry, saying they were busy. A year passed. I visited them 3 times. Each visit was uncomfortable. Carla always had plans that did not include me. David spent his time working. I felt like a burden in their apartment. On the 3rd visit, Carla said something to me that stuck. George, the truth is it is difficult having you here. The apartment is very small, and we have our routine. Maybe it would be better if you stayed at a hotel when you come. A hotel? But I am your father-in-law. I am David's dad. I know. But we just need our space. David said nothing. He only nodded, and I understood the message. I was not welcome in their home. I stopped visiting them so frequently. I only went when they explicitly invited me, which was almost never. 6 months ago, David turned 35. I wanted to be there. I wanted to celebrate with him. Remember his mom? Spend time together? So I bought plane tickets. I booked a hotel just like Carla wanted. I packed gifts. Everything. I sent a message to David a week before. Son, I bought tickets to go to Austin for your birthday. I arrived Friday afternoon. What time can I come over to see you? He did not answer that day, nor the next. 3 days passed. I was already worried. I called. He did not answer. I sent more messages. Nothing. Finally, the day I was boarding the plane, an hour before the flight, I received his message. Dad, I forgot to tell you, we do not live in Austin anymore. We moved to Miami last week. Sorry for not letting you know sooner. I will send you the new address later. I stood in the middle of the airport with people passing around me, unable to process what I had just read. They had moved to another city, again, and they had told me nothing. Nothing. I called David immediately. This time he did answer. Dad? David, what is the meaning of this? You moved to Miami? Yes, it was all very sudden. I got an amazing job offer there. We had to decide in a week. And you could not notify me? Tell me you were moving? Everything happened so fast, Dad. There was no time. No time to send me a text. To call me? Sorry, Dad. With the new job, the move, everything. David, I bought plane tickets. I booked a hotel. I was coming for your birthday. Oh, Dad, I am so sorry. But, well, what can we do? You can cancel the tickets, right? What can we do? Is that all you have to say? Dad, do not get mad. It was a mistake. You can come to Miami later. It is nicer than Austin. It is not about where it is nicer. It is about you telling me about you taking me into account. Oh, Dad, stop being dramatic. Everything is fine. I will send you the new address. And Carla? What does she say? Carla is happy. She always wanted to live by the beach. Uh-huh, sure. I hung up, and I stayed there standing in the airport feeling a mix of rage, sadness, and humiliation. I canceled the flight. I lost money. I canceled the hotel. More money lost. And I went back to my condo in Chicago feeling completely alone. That night, I barely slept. I thought about everything. About how I had raised David. About all the sacrifices Helen and I made for him. And about how now he treated me as if I were an inconvenience. As if I did not matter. The next day, I decided to do something I never thought I would do. Investigate what was really happening with David and Carla. I called a friend who had contacts in Austin. I asked him to find out why David had moved so suddenly. If it really was for a better job, or if there was another reason. My friend came back with information 3 days later. George, there is something strange. David did not leave for a better job. He left because he had problems in Austin. What kind of problems? Debts. A lot of debts. They owe money to several vendors. There were problems with the landlord of the apartment they were renting. They stopped paying for several months, and apparently the company where he worked fired him. They fired him? Yes, for poor performance. And there are rumors that there were issues with unjustified expenses. And the job in Miami? There is no job in Miami, or at least none that I have been able to confirm. Most likely they left to escape the debts. My heart sank. My son had not only lied to me, he was running away from problems, and I did not even know. I hired a private investigator. I wanted to know exactly what was happening, where they lived, where they worked, everything. The investigator took 2 weeks to send me the report, and what I read left me frozen. David and Carla were living in an apartment in Miami that cost $3,500 a month, a luxury apartment with an ocean view in an exclusive area. Carla did not work. She spent her days at the gym, at spas, and expensive restaurants, all documented on her social media. David did work, but at a part-time job that did not pay even half the cost of the apartment. The rest they covered with credit cards, cards that were already maxed out. And there was more. Carla had a history. Before meeting David, she had been in a relationship with an older man, a businessman. That relationship ended with the businessman accusing her of fraud. Nothing was ever proven, but the pattern was there. Carla looked for men with money, or with access to money, and David, my son, was her ticket. But David had no money of his own. He had a father with assets. Everything was starting to make sense. The questions about my pension, the interest in my properties, the constant requests for money. It was not a coincidence. It was a plan. I showed the report to my lawyer, Mr. Harrison. George, this is concerning. Your son is in a very delicate financial situation, and his wife seems to have a manipulative behavioral pattern. What do you recommend? First, protect your assets. Make sure they do not have access to any of your accounts. Second, document everything. If they ask you for money, save the messages, the calls, everything. And third, get ready, because when they run out of money, they are going to come back to you. And if they ask me for help, that is your decision. But I would recommend that you set very clear conditions, and that you give them nothing without legal guarantees. I took all the precautions Harrison recommended. I changed passwords. I updated my will, leaving David only a minor part of my inheritance, conditioned on him demonstrating financial stability. The rest I left to charities and an education fund. I also put alerts on all my bank accounts to detect any suspicious activity, and I waited. I did not have to wait long. 3 months after the move to Miami, I received a call. It was Carla. She sounded desperate. George, we need to talk. It is urgent. What is wrong? It is just that we found a house, an incredible house here in Miami. It is our chance to stop renting and own something. But we need the money for the down payment. It is $50,000. $50,000? Yes, I know it is a lot, but it is an investment, and you always say that investments are important. And why do you not get a mortgage loan? We tried, but the bank asks us for a 30% down payment, and we do not have it. You could lend it to us, or better yet, give it to us as a gift. It is for your son, George, so David can have his own assets. And does David know you are calling me? Yes, of course. He is here with me. Do you want to talk to him? Put him on. David got on the phone. Dad? David, is this true? You want me to give you $50,000 for a house? Yes, Dad. It is a great opportunity. The house is amazing and the price is right. And why did you not tell me before deciding to buy? We had to give an answer fast. The owner has other interested parties. Uh-huh. Just like you told me fast about the move to Miami, right? Dad, that is different. No, David. It is exactly the same. You make decisions without consulting me, and then you expect me to pay the consequences. They are not consequences. It is an investment. How much do you earn a month at your current job, David? Silence. David, I asked you how much you earn. It is variable. So you do not have a fixed salary. And how are you going to pay the mortgage on a house? Well, that is why we need a large down payment, so the monthly payments are low. David, do you hear what you're saying? You do not have stable income. You have debts, and you want to buy an expensive house in Miami. How do you know we have debts? That was where I made the mistake of revealing that I knew more than I should, because I investigated. You investigated. You investigated us. Yes. And I discovered that you left Austin running away from problems, that Carla does not work, that you are living way beyond your means. David exploded. I cannot believe you investigated us. That is an invasion of our privacy. I had to know the truth, because you only lie to me. We did not lie to you. Oh, really? What about the amazing job in Miami, and the fact that you let me buy tickets to Austin knowing you did not live there anymore? That was a mistake. It was not a mistake, David. It was indifference. It was a lack of respect. And now you want me to gift you $50,000? Do you really think I'm going to do that? Carla took the phone. George, this is ridiculous. You have plenty of money. Why can you not help your own son? Because I do not trust you anymore. Well, then keep your money, and do not expect us to invite you to our new house. We have seen what you are capable of. And she hung up. I stood there with the phone in my hand, feeling a mix of rage and sadness, but also something else. Determination. Because in that moment I understood that I had to protect myself, at any cost. The following days were absolute silence. David did not call me. Carla neither. It was as if they had cut all contact with me. And honestly, after that conversation, I did not feel like talking to them either. But the silence did not give me peace. On the contrary, something inside me told me that this was not over, that Carla was not going to give up so easily. And I was right. A week after the call, I started receiving strange messages, not from David or Carla, but from numbers I did not know. The first message said, George, I am a friend of David. He asked me to talk to you. He is doing very poorly financially. Can you not help him? He is your son. I blocked the number. But the next day, another similar message arrived, from a different number. Hello, Mr. Miller. I am a co-worker of Carla. She told me her situation. How sad that his own father does not want to help them. Are you not ashamed? I blocked that number too. And then another, and another, all with the same pattern, all trying to make me feel guilty. I called Mr. Harrison. This is harassment, George, and possibly Carla is behind this. Do you have proof that she is orchestrating these messages? No direct proof, but it is too much of a coincidence. Document everything. Keep screenshots of every message. And if it continues, we can proceed legally. I also received a call from a Miami number I did not know. I answered out of curiosity. Mr. Miller? Yes. Who is speaking? This is the Miami Private Hospital calling. We are calling because your son, David Miller, is registered as a patient here, and you are listed as an emergency contact. My blood ran cold. What happened to David? Is he okay? He is stable. He had a severe stress episode. He is under observation. His wife is with him. But we need someone to come sign some documents and cover the hospital expenses. Your son's insurance does not cover everything. How much is it? So far, it is about $10,000, and it can go up depending on how long he stays hospitalized. Can I talk to David? Let me verify if he can receive calls. One moment. I waited. My heart was beating fast. Despite everything, he was my son, and the idea that he was in the hospital distressed me. George, it was Carla's voice. Carla, what happened? How is David? He is very bad. He had a nervous breakdown. The doctor says it was due to excessive stress because of financial pressure. And you know why he is like this, right? What do you mean? You have him like this. With your refusal to help us. With your coldness. David is emotionally destroyed because his own father abandoned him. I did not abandon anyone, Carla. You are the one who has money and does not want to help. And now David is in the hospital because of you. Put David on. I want to talk to him. He cannot talk. He is sedated. But you can come pay the hospital bill, or leave him here stranded, like always. She hung up. I sat in my living room processing the call. Was it real? Was David really in the hospital? Or was it another manipulation by Carla? I called the hospital directly. I asked to speak with the billing department. Good afternoon. I need to confirm if you have a patient named David Miller. One moment. Yes, we have a David Miller. He was admitted last night. What is his condition? I cannot give you medical information over the phone. Are you a family member? I am his father, I understand. You can come to the hospital, and the doctor will give you all the information. I can only tell you that he is stable. And the hospital expenses? There's an open bill. So far it is $9,500, and it will keep increasing. I understand. Thank you. I hung up. So it was real. David was hospitalized. But that did not change the fact that Carla was using the situation to manipulate me. I called Mr. Harrison again. My son is hospitalized in Miami. Carla is pressuring me to pay the bill. Do you want to pay? He is my son. I am not going to leave him in the hospital without help. But I also do not want Carla to think she can manipulate me like this. Then do the following. Pay the bill directly to the hospital. Do not give the money to Carla. And make it clear that this is a loan, not a gift with signed documents. But David is sedated. He cannot sign anything. Then you wait until he is conscious. And in the meantime, you pay the minimum necessary, so they do not discharge him without treatment. But nothing more. I followed Harrison's advice. I called the hospital and authorized a charge of $3,000 to my credit card, enough to cover the basics. But I made it clear that any additional expense had to be authorized by me directly. 2 days later, David called me. He sounded weak but conscious. Dad, thanks for paying the hospital. How are you, son? Better. They are going to discharge me tomorrow. What happened? Why did you collapse? It has been a lot of stress. The job, the debts, everything. David, we need to talk. For real. Without Carla. Just you and me. I cannot talk without Carla. She is my wife. But you are my son. And I need to know what is really happening. You already know what is happening. We are struggling financially, and you do not want to help us. It is not that I do not want to help you. It is that I am not going to finance a lifestyle you cannot sustain. But if you help us with the house, we could stabilize. Stop paying such expensive rent. Start fresh. David, do you know how much you two earn a month combined? Silence. David, answer me. How much do you earn? Like $2,500. Some months more, some less. And the apartment where you live costs $3,500 a month. Yes, but what, David? How do you survive? With credit cards. And with help from Carla's mom sometimes. So you are digging a deeper hole every time. And you want me to give you $50,000 to buy a house that you will not be able to pay for either. If you give us the down payment, the monthly payments would be only $2,000. David, Listen to yourself. Even with that, you would not make it. How are you going to eat? How are you going to pay utilities, gas, everything else? Well, I would get a better job. When? And in the meantime, what? No, David. This has to stop, and it has to stop now. So you are not going to help us? I am going to help you in another way. I will pay for a training course so you can get a better job. I will pay for psychological therapy so you can process all this. And I will help you make a real budget. But I am not going to give you money to keep financing this fantasy. Carla is not going to accept that. I am not offering anything to Carla. I am offering it to you, my son. I have to talk to her. No, David, this is your decision, not hers, yours. He hung up without answering. That night, I did not sleep well. I knew I had put David in a difficult position between his wife and his father, but I also knew it was necessary, because if I did not put a stop to it now, this was never going to end. The next day I received a message from Carla, not from David, from Carla. George David told me about your offer, courses therapy. Is that the best you can offer? Your son needs real money, not your cheap advice. But we understood. You are not going to help us. So do not contact us again. We do not need you, and David is better off without you. I did not respond. I simply archived the message. 2 weeks passed without news until one day I received a call from an unknown number in Miami. I answered. Mr. Miller. Yes, who is speaking? This is Mrs. Gloria Carla's mom. I need to speak with you about my daughter and your son. What is wrong? Mr. Miller. Carla does not know I am calling you, but I need to tell you something important. My daughter? My daughter is planning something. Something that is not right. What kind of thing? I overheard a conversation she had with a friend. They were talking about how to get your money. They mentioned something about a power of attorney, about documents, and about making it look like you gave them permission to access your accounts. My heart accelerated. What else did you hear? They said that if you did not give them the money voluntarily, they were going to find another way. And they mentioned something about a trip, that they were going to make you come to Miami for something. I did not understand exactly what. Why are you telling me this? Because I do not agree with what my daughter is doing. I raised Carla to be honest, hard-working, but she changed. She became ambitious, manipulative, and now she is dragging David down with her, and I do not want them to do something they regret. Does David know about this? I do not know, but knowing him, probably not. David is a good person. Weak, but a good person. Carla is the one in control. Thank you for warning me, Mrs. Gloria. Take care, Mr. Miller, and be very careful. I hung up and immediately called Mr. Harrison. George, this is very serious. If they are planning to gain access to your accounts through fraud, it is a crime. You need to reinforce all your security measures, and you probably need an investigator to document what they are planning. I already have one. I am going to reactivate him. Good. And another thing. Do not go to Miami. If they invite you, if they tell you David is bad, that they need to see you, whatever it is, do not go. At least not alone and not without taking extreme precautions. Do you think I am in physical danger? I do not know. But when there is money involved and desperate people, anything is possible. That conversation truly scared me. For the first time in this whole process, I felt fear. Real fear that my own son, or at least his wife, could hurt me. I hired the investigator again. I asked him to watch David and Carla discreetly, to document their movements, their conversations if possible. Everything. I also reinforced the security of my condo. I changed the locks. I installed cameras. I hired a monitoring service. I updated all my passwords using two-factor authentication. And I waited. The investigator sent me reports every 2 days. David and Carla continued their normal life on the surface, but there were disturbing details. Carla met frequently with a man the investigator identified as a lawyer, not just any lawyer, a lawyer known for handling disputed inheritances and questionable powers of attorney. There were also reports that Carla had been asking in social media groups about how to make a family member sign documents and if an old power of attorney was still valid. Everything pointed to her looking for legal or semi-legal ways to access my assets. A month after Mrs. Gloria's call, I received an email. It was from David. The subject line said, "Dad, I need your help. Urgent." I opened the email cautiously. It said, "Dad, I know things have been tense between us, and I know I have disappointed you, but I need to ask you for one last favor. Carla and I are in a very difficult situation. We are going to be evicted from the apartment. We owe 3 months of rent, and if we do not pay this week, they are kicking us out. I know we have asked you for a lot. I know we have not been responsible, but I swear this time is different. If you help us with this, we are going to change. We are going to get stable jobs. We are going to move to a cheaper place. We are going to do things right. We need $10,000 to pay the back rent and the deposit for a new, cheaper apartment. If you do not trust sending us the money, you can come to Miami. You can pay directly yourself. You can see what we spend it on, all with transparency. Please, Dad, it is the last time I ask you for something. I swear on Mom's memory, your son David." I read the email 3 times. The mention of Helen, my wife, hurt me deeply. I knew he was using her memory to manipulate me, but it was also true that if they were going to be evicted, David would be on the street. And as angry as I was with him, he was still my son. I forwarded the email to Mr. Harrison. His response was immediate. "Do not go to Miami. It is a trap if you want to help offer them to come to Chicago. But do not go there yourself," I replied to David's email. "Son, if you really want my help, come to Chicago. The 3 of you. And here we talk calmly. We look at the bills, we look at the options, and we decide what to do. But I am not going to Miami." David's response arrived 2 hours later. "Dad, we cannot go to Chicago. We do not have money for tickets. And besides, Carla cannot leave her job." "What job?" I replied. "The investigator says Carla does not work." 10 minutes passed. Then another email arrived. "Did you investigate us again?" What kind of father spies on his son? The kind of father who is protecting himself from a scam. There were no more responses. 2 days later, an envelope arrived by courier at my condo. It came from Miami. I opened it carefully. Inside were legal documents. A power of attorney in my name, supposedly signed by me, granting David full access to my bank accounts and properties. The document was fake. I had never signed that. But the signature looked a lot like mine. Very well forged. There was also a handwritten note. "George, this document proves that you already gave David access to your assets. If you decide not to honor this power of attorney, we are going to enforce it legally. You have 1 week to deposit $150,000 into the account we sent you separately. Or we present this power of attorney to the authorities and take what belongs to us. The decision is yours. It was not signed, but it was not necessary." I knew who was behind this. I called Mr. Harrison for an emergency. I showed him the documents. "This is forgery. It is extortion, and it is very, very serious. What do? You file a complaint. Today, with these documents and with everything else you have collected. Because this is no longer just family manipulation. It is a crime." That afternoon, I filed the complaint with the district attorney's office. I handed over the fake documents, the investigators' reports, the call recordings, the messages, everything. The prosecutor assigned to the case reviewed everything carefully. "Mr. Miller, this is enough to open a formal investigation. We are going to summon your son and your daughter-in-law to testify, and we are going to analyze these documents to confirm they are fake. How long will it take? A few weeks. But in the meantime, I recommend that you take extreme precautions, and that you have no contact with them." I left the DA's office feeling a little safer, but also sadder, because I had reached the point of reporting my own son. That night around 11, my phone rang. It was David. "Dad, what did you do? What are you talking about?" "They summoned us to testify. They are investigating us." "Did you report us?" "I reported the attempted fraud." "Yes." "Dad, I did not know anything about those documents. It was Carla. She sent them without me knowing, and you expect me to believe you?" "It is the truth. I would never do something like that." "David, you allowed all this. You allowed Carla to disrespect me. You allowed them to lie to me. You allowed them to manipulate me. And now you want to play the victim. I am not the victim, but I am not the villain either. Carla, she pressures me. She controls me. I do not know how to get out of this. Then divorce her. Get away from her and start over. I cannot. Yes, you can. You just lack the will. Dad, please withdraw the complaint. I'm going to talk to Carla. I'm going to make her return those documents. I am going to fix this. No, it is too late for that. This is already in the hands of the authorities. You are going to ruin my life. You ruined it yourself, David. I am just defending myself." He hung up, and I stayed there in my empty condo feeling a deep pain in my chest, because I knew that the relationship with my son was probably never going to recover, and that hurt me more than any attempted scam. But I also knew I had done the right thing, because sometimes protecting yourself means walking away from the people you love, even if it hurts. The investigation advanced faster than I expected. The handwriting analysis confirmed that the signature on the power of attorney was fake. The experts determined that it had been created using design software, probably scanning my signature from some legitimate document and modifying it digitally to make it look original. The prosecutor summoned me for a meeting 2 weeks after filing the complaint. "Mr. Miller, we have enough evidence to prosecute your daughter-in-law for document forgery and attempted fraud. Regarding your son, we are still investigating his level of involvement. What is going to happen now? We are going to issue arrest warrants, but first we will give them the opportunity to voluntarily present themselves to testify. If they cooperate, the process can be less severe. And if they do not show up, then we will proceed with the warrants and the police will look for them." I left the prosecutor's office with mixed feelings. On one hand, I felt that justice was working. On the other, the idea that David could end up arrested destroyed me. That night, I received a call from a number I did not know. I answered. "Mr. Miller." "This is Mrs. Gloria again, Carla's mom." "Good evening, ma'am. I need to tell you something urgent. Carla is planning to leave to escape before they arrest her, and she wants to take David." "Where are they going to go?" "I do not know exactly, but I heard her mention Guatemala or Belize, some place where they cannot find them easily. And does David know this?" "I think so, but I do not know if he agrees or if she is pressuring him. Mr. Miller, I love my daughter, but what she is doing is wrong, and I do not want David to end up being an accomplice to something worse." "When do they plan to leave?" "This week, maybe tomorrow, or the day after." "Thank you for warning me. I am going to inform the authorities. Please do not tell them I warned you. Carla would not forgive me. Do not worry. This will stay between us." I hung up and immediately called the prosecutor. I explained the situation. He told me they were going to accelerate the process and try to locate David and Carla before they left the country. The next day, 2 officers went to the apartment where they lived in Miami. According to the report I received later, they found the apartment almost empty. Most of the things were already packed, but David and Carla were not there. The officers spoke with neighbors. One of them said he had seen the couple leave very early that morning with several suitcases getting into a taxi. Mrs. Gloria was right. They were fleeing. The police issued an alert at airports and border crossings, but 2 days passed without news. Until the 3rd day, I received a call I did not expect. It was David, but this time he sounded different, scared, desperate. "Dad, help me." "David, where are you?" I'm in a motel in Fort Lauderdale. Carla left. She left me here. She took all the money we had, and there are people looking for me." "What people?" "I do not know. Some men. They came to the motel asking for me. The receptionist warned me. Dad, I am scared. David. Why are there people looking for you? What did you do? Carla. She borrowed money from dangerous people. She promised to pay them with the money we were going to get from you. And when we could not get it, she told them I had properties that I could pay. But it is not true, Dad. I have nothing. How much money is it? $20,000, plus interest, like $30,000 in total. And where is Carla? I do not know. She left last night. She left a note saying she could not continue with me anymore, that I was dead weight, and that she was going to start a new life, alone. David, you need to turn yourself in to the authorities. It is the only way to be safe. I cannot. They are going to arrest me. Better that the authorities arrest you than those men find you. David, listen to me. I am going to talk to the prosecutor. I am going to see if we can reach an agreement. But you have to cooperate. You have to tell the whole truth about Carla, about the fake documents, about everything. And if they put me in jail, son, if you cooperate, probably not. But if you keep running, everything is going to get worse. There was a long silence. Okay. What do I do? Tell me exactly where you are. I'm going to send someone to get you. Someone trustworthy. And we are going to bring you back to Chicago safely. Are you not coming? I cannot, son. But I am going to send Mr. Harrison. He will protect you. David gave me the address of the motel. I called Harrison immediately. He agreed to go to Fort Lauderdale with a private security escort. They left that same day on a night flight. Meanwhile, I spoke with the prosecutor. I explained the situation. I told him that David was willing to cooperate completely if they granted him some kind of protection. If your son testifies against Carla and gives us information about these people who lent him money, we can consider reducing the charges against him. But we need his total cooperation. He will have it. The next day, Harrison called me from Fort Lauderdale. We have David. He is scared, but he is okay. We are going to take the flight back in 2 hours. How did he look? Very bad, George. Thin, dark circles under his eyes, nervous. That woman really destroyed him. Did he say anything else about Carla? He says he has proof. Messages, recordings of conversations where she admits to falsifying documents. He says he has it all saved in the cloud just in case he ever needed it. Why did he not use it before? Because he loved her, or because he was afraid of her, or both. But now that she abandoned him, he is willing to talk. David arrived in Chicago that night. Harrison brought him directly to my condo. When I saw him get out of the car, I almost did not recognize him. He had lost like 20 pounds. His hair was long and unkempt, his clothes dirty and wrinkled. He stood in front of me, not knowing what to say. We both stayed there, looking at each other with years of pain and disappointment between us. Finally, David spoke. Dad, I am sorry. I am so sorry. Come in. You need to take a shower, eat something, and rest. Tomorrow we talk. That night, David showered, ate, and fell asleep in the guest room. I stayed awake processing everything. My son had returned, but he was not the same. He was broken, shattered, and I did not know if he could recover from this. The next day, the three of us went to the DA's office, David Harrison and I. David handed over his phone with all the evidence he had against Carla. Messages where she admitted to falsifying the documents. Recordings of calls where she planned how to get money out of the old man. Emails with the corrupt lawyer discussing questionable legal strategies. The prosecutor reviewed everything carefully. This is gold, Mr. Miller. With this, we can prosecute your wife for multiple crimes, and you looking at David will remain as a protected witness. The charges against you will be lesser, probably probation and community service. And Carla? Asked David with a trembling voice. If we find her, she is going to face serious charges. Forgery fraud, extortion. She is looking at several years in prison. David nodded. He looked relieved, but also sad. Despite everything, he still felt something for that woman. During the following weeks, David stayed with me. We did not have much to say to each other. The relationship was too damaged. But little by little we started talking. One night while we ate dinner in silence, David asked me, "Will you ever be able to forgive me?" "I do not know, son. You hurt me a lot. You betrayed me. You allowed that woman to disrespect me. You made me feel like I did not matter." "I know, and I have no excuses. I was weak. I was stupid. I let myself be manipulated. And now? What are you going to do now?" "I am going to rebuild my life. I am going to get a job. I am going to pay my debts. And I am going to try to be the man Mom would have wanted me to be." The mention of Helen made me feel a lump in my throat. "Your mom would be very disappointed in what you did, but she would also be proud that you are trying to fix it." "Are you proud?" "I am hopeful, but pride is earned with actions, not words." David nodded, and from that day he started to act. He got a job at a logistics company, a humble warehouse job, but it was honest. He started paying his debts little by little. He enrolled in psychological therapy, and little by little he started to recover some dignity. A month later, the police found Carla. She was in Panama, living with a man 20 years older than her, a retired businessman, the same pattern as always. They extradited her to the U.S. She faced trial. David testified against her. It was painful seeing him on the stand, telling how she had manipulated him, used him, and finally abandoned him. Carla tried to defend herself. She said everything had been David's idea, that she was the victim, that I was a controlling father who wanted to destroy her marriage. But the evidence was overwhelming. The messages, the recordings, the forged documents, the testimony of her own mother, Mrs. Gloria, who finally decided to speak publicly about her daughter's behavior. The judge found her guilty of all charges. She was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. She would also have to pay restitution of $50,000 for damages. Money she would never have, but at least the damage caused was recorded. David received 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service. No prison time, because the judge considered that he had also been a victim of manipulation. When we left the court the day of the sentencing, David told me, "Thanks for not abandoning me, Dad. Despite everything, thanks for giving me this opportunity. I did not do it for you. I did it because it was the right thing. But now it depends on you to prove it was worth it. I am going to do it, I promise you." And so far, he has delivered. 8 months have passed since the trial. David continues working at the logistics company. He was promoted to supervisor 2 months ago. He is paying his debts systematically. He keeps going to therapy, and he comes to have dinner with me once a week. The dinners are quiet, sometimes uncomfortable, because there are still wounds that have not healed completely. But we are trying, both of us. David asked me a month ago if someday we could go back to how we were before. I told him the truth. No. We will never go back to how we were before. Because before I was naive, I trusted blindly, and he was irresponsible, dependent. Now we are different. I am more cautious, more protective of my assets and my peace. And he is more aware, more responsible, more humble. It is not the father-son relationship we had when Helen was alive, but it is a new relationship, built on honesty, not on unrealistic expectations. I updated my will. David was included again, but not with everything, only with a part, conditioned on him demonstrating financial stability for 5 consecutive years. The rest goes to charities and an education fund. David accepted it without complaint. He said it seemed fair. 2 weeks ago at one of our dinners, he told me something that surprised me. "Dad, I want to apologize, not only for what I did, but for having allowed you to feel unimportant, for letting Carla disrespect you, for not notifying you of the moves, for treating you as if you did not matter, because you do matter. You have always mattered." Those words moved me more than I expected. "Thank you, son. That means a lot. Do you think Mom would have forgiven me? Your mom loved you unconditionally. Of course she would have forgiven you, but she would also have given you a scolding you would not forget in your life." We laughed. For the first time in years we laughed together, and I felt that maybe, Just maybe we could heal. The story with Carla did not end completely. From prison, she tried to contact me several times. Letters asking for forgiveness, messages through third parties, attempts at manipulation. I ignored them all, because I learned something fundamental. Not all people deserve your forgiveness. Some only deserve your indifference. David divorced her 6 months ago. She signed the papers from prison without opposing. It no longer served her to be married to him. According to what I heard from Mrs. Gloria, Carla remains the same inside prison. Manipulative, seeking benefits, trying to make influential friends who can help her when she gets out. Some people never change, and that is fine. It is not my job to save them. Today, as I write this in my mind, sitting on my balcony, watching the sunset over Chicago, I can say that I survived. I survived the betrayal. I survived the attempted fraud. I survived almost losing my only son. And most importantly, I learned. I learned that a father's love does not mean allowing everything, that saying no is valid, that protecting your assets is not selfishness, that setting boundaries is necessary. I learned that family is not immune to betrayal. 2. That sometimes the closest people are the ones who can hurt you the most. I learned that it is okay to walk away from those who hurt you, even if they are your own flesh and blood, because your peace of mind is worth more than any family bond. And I learned that redemption is possible. David is proving that people can change, not overnight, not magically, but with constant effort, with humility, with hard work. If you are listening to this story and you are going through something similar, I want to tell you something. You are not alone. Many seniors face these types of situations. Manipulative children, daughters or sons-in-law interested only in money, families that see their parents as a resource, not as people. And I want to tell you that it is okay to defend yourself. It is okay to say no. It is okay to investigate when something feels off. It is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to protect what you built with your effort. Do not allow anyone to make you feel guilty for taking care of yourself. Do not allow them to use your love against you. And do not allow the fear of being alone to make you tolerate abuse. Because being alone in peace is better than being accompanied in war. David and I have a second chance. Not everyone gets one, and I am grateful for that. But this second chance came after putting limits, after defending myself, after almost losing everything. Sometimes the greatest love is tough love, the one that says enough, the one that protects itself, the one that demands respect. And that love in the end can save relationships, or it can end them. But in any case, it saves you. Thank you for listening to my story. Take care, respect yourselves, and never, never allow anyone, not even family, to abuse your kindness. Forward, always forward. 2 years have passed since the trial. 2 years in which my life changed in ways I never imagined. David still lives in Chicago. In a modest apartment he rents with his own money. He works hard, pays his debts, and little by little is rebuilding not only his life, but also our relationship. But this story does not end just with David learning the lesson, because there is something I have not told you yet. Something I discovered 6 months after the trial, and that made me understand that the betrayal had been even deeper than I thought. It all started when I received a call from Mr. Harrison. His voice sounded tense. "George, I need to see you. Today? It is important." "What happened? I prefer to tell you in person. Can you come to my office in an hour? I arrived on time." Harrison had a thick folder on his desk. His expression was serious. "George, during the process against Carla, we asked for all her financial activities from the last 5 years to be investigated. The report arrived yesterday, and they found something that is going to hurt you." He opened the folder. Inside were bank statements, transfers, notary documents. 3 years ago, when David and Carla lived in Austin, Carla opened a bank account in Helen's name. "Helen? My wife?" "Yes, She used a copy of your wife's death certificate, and she forged an ID. She opened the account at a small bank where controls were not as strict. Why would she want an account in Helen's name? To receive money. For 2 years, that account received deposits from different sources, some from lenders, others from you? From me? I never deposited money to an account of Helen's. She had already passed away. Review these receipts. He showed me a series of transfers, each one of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, all made from my savings account to that ghost account in Helen's name. Dates I recognized, times when David had asked me for money for different emergencies. This cannot be. I never authorized these transfers, I know. That is why I asked the bank to review the records. The transfers were made online from your account using your password. How did they get my password? Remember David helped you set up online banking like 4 years ago when you bought your first smartphone? Yes. Probably he wrote down your password then, or installed some spyware, or simply memorized it. I felt the floor crumbling beneath my feet. For 2 years they had been stealing from me, small amounts each time, never big enough for me to notice immediately, but in total they added up to almost $100,000. Did David know about this? That is the question. We need to ask him. That same afternoon I confronted David. I summoned him to my condo. Harrison was present as a witness. I put the documents on the table in front of him. David, did you know that Carla opened a bank account in your mom's name? David took the documents. He read them. His face turned pale. No, David, I need the truth. Did you know they were stealing money from me? I knew Carla had an account, but I did not know it was in Mom's name. She told me it was a savings account she had opened for us. And the transfers from my account? David looked down. She told me that you had authorized that money, that it was part of the loans you gave us. I believed her. David looked me in the eyes. Did you really not know they were stealing from me? David looked up. He had tears in his eyes. At first, no. I really believed they were loans you had authorized. But later, I started to suspect, because the amounts did not add up with what you gave us. And when I asked you, you did not remember authorizing those amounts. And you said nothing? I asked Carla. She got very angry. She told me I was doubting her, that I was ungrateful, that she was doing everything for our future, and I believed her, or I wanted to believe her, because it was easier than confronting her. David, that is complicity. I know, and I have no excuses. I should have said something. I should have warned you. But I was a coward, and for that I'm also guilty. Harrison intervened. David, technically this could add new charges against you. Complicity and fraud. Are you willing to declare all this formally? Yes. Whatever it takes. But I need my dad to know that I never wanted to hurt him, that I was weak, not evil. The intention does not matter when the result is the same. I told him, you stole more than $100,000 from me. I know, and I am going to pay you back. I do not know how long it will take me, but I am going to pay you back every dollar. I do not want your money, David. I want you to understand the magnitude of what you did. You used your mom's name, the woman who gave you life, who loved you unconditionally, to steal from me. David broke completely. He cried like I had not seen him cry since he was a child, and I felt a mix of rage, pain, and exhaustion. Harrison filed an expanded complaint, this time against Carla for aggravated theft and identity fraud. David signed a full statement admitting everything he knew. The case was reopened. Carla from prison faced new charges. Her sentence was extended 5 more years, a total of 13 years. When they notified her of the new charges, she tried to blame David completely. She said he had been the mastermind behind everything, that she was only the executor, but the evidence said otherwise. The emails showed she had planned everything. David was just a passive accomplice. David received 6 additional months of probation and 300 more hours of community service. The judge considered that, although he was an accomplice, he had also been manipulated, and that his cooperation deserved consideration. But for me, the damage was already done. The trust I was trying to rebuild with David broke again, and this time I did not know if I could fix it again. For months, David tried to reach out. He sent me messages every day. "Good morning, Dad. How did you wake up? I love you." I responded with monosyllables. "Good, thanks." Nothing more. He kept working. He kept paying his debts. And also he started depositing money in my account every 2 weeks. $50, $100, what he could, with a note that always said the same thing. Payment towards debt. Remaining balance, X dollars. A year passed. David deposited every 2 weeks without fail. In total, he had paid $3,000. A fraction of what he owed me, but he was consistent, disciplined. One day he called me. For the first time in months, I answered. "Dad, tell me, David, I need to talk to you, in person, please." "About what?" "About something important. Please give me an hour. Just one." I accepted. We met at a neutral coffee shop. David arrived with a folder. He looked tired but serene. He sat in front of me. "Dad, I want to show you something." He opened the folder. Inside were documents, bank statements, payment receipts, a detailed financial plan. "This is my plan to pay you back, in full. With my current salary working overtime and doing some freelance jobs on weekends, I can pay you $2,000 a month. At that rate, in 4 years, I will have paid you everything, with 5% annual interest." I stared at the documents. They were perfectly organized, professional, serious. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I owe it to you. Because I want to prove to you that I have changed. Because I want to recover some of your respect. I do not expect you to forgive me soon. Maybe never. But I want you to know that I am trying. David." This is going to take you years. Years of sacrifice, I know. But I am going to do it. Because it is the right thing. And if I meet someone, if I want to form a new family, then she is going to have to understand that I have a debt of honor. And if she does not understand it, then she is not the right person for me. For the first time in a long time, I saw real determination in David's eyes. Not empty promises, but a plan, a commitment. "Okay, I accept your plan. But with one condition." "Which one?" "That you keep going to therapy. That you work on yourself. Because it is not just about the money. It is about you becoming the man you can be." I have been in therapy for 1.5 years, and I am going to continue. I promise you. From that day, David delivered. Every month without fail, he deposited $2,000. Sometimes more, never less. And every month he sent me a message with the updated balance of the debt. We also started rebuilding our relationship. Slowly, cautiously, but genuinely. One day, 6 months after that conversation, David invited me to lunch. He arrived with a woman. "Dad, this is Andrea. She is a colleague from work. We have been dating for 3 months. Andrea was a simple woman. Industrial engineer. She worked at the same company as David. She was down to earth. She did not ask about my assets. She did not appraise my properties. She was just kind, genuine. During the meal, David told her our whole story, without hiding anything. He told her how he had betrayed my trust, how he was paying a debt, how he was rebuilding his life. Andrea listened to him without judging, and then she said something to me that I liked. "Mr. Miller David told me everything since we started dating, and I told him that I found it admirable that he was facing his mistakes. Many people would have run away, but he is here, fighting. And that says a lot about his character, and it does not bother you that he has this debt with me?" "No, because it is a debt of honor, not of irresponsibility, and that makes the difference." I liked Andrea, and for the first time in years I felt hope that David could have a healthy relationship with someone who valued him for who he was, not for what he could give. Today, as I write these last words in my mind, 2 years have passed since David started his payment plan. He has paid $50,000. Half is missing. But he remains constant. He remains committed. Carla is serving her sentence. She will get out in 11 years. I do not know what will become of her then, and honestly, I do not care anymore. That part of my life is closed. David married Andrea 6 months ago. It was a simple wedding, in the garden of Andrea's parents' house. I went. I walked with David to the altar. And when the priest asked who gave the groom, I said his mother, who watches over us from heaven and me. David cried. I did too. In the toast, David dedicated some words to me that I will never forget. Dad, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for giving me boundaries when I needed them. Thank you for teaching me that true love is not permissive, but corrective. Thank you for showing me that actions have consequences. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to show you that I can be better. I love you, and I am going to spend the rest of my life honoring your trust. They were not empty words. They have been actions. David and Andrea live modestly. He keeps working hard. She too. They do not ask me for anything. They do not expect anything. They only come to dinner with me every week, and in those dinners we talk, we laugh, we remember Helen, and we build new memories. Andrea's pregnant. They are going to have a girl. They are going to name her Helen, after my wife. They asked me if I thought it was okay. I told them that to me it seemed perfect, but above all, that my wife would have loved it. I'm going to be a grandfather in 4 months, and this time I am going to be present. Not because they beg me, not because they need me, but because they want me, genuinely. I updated my will one more time. David now receives 50% of my assets. Andrea and the baby, another 25% in a trust. The rest remains for charitable causes. But more important than the will, I have peace. Peace knowing I did the right thing, that I set boundaries, that I defended myself, that I did not allow them to destroy me, and that in the end, tough love worked. It did not save my relationship with David immediately, but it gave him the opportunity to save himself, and that is worth more than anything. If you are listening to this story and are in a similar situation, I want to leave you these lessons I learned. First, trust your instinct. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Do not ignore the signs. Second, protect your assets. It is not selfishness. It is responsibility. Put secure passwords on everything. Monitor your accounts. Do not give access to anyone without guarantees. Third, document everything. Messages, calls, emails, everything. Because if you ever need to defend yourself legally, evidence is fundamental. Fourth, do not be afraid to say no, even if it is to your son, even if it is to your family. Saying no is an act of self-love. Fifth, seek professional help. Lawyers, investigators, therapists. Do not face this alone. Sixth, understand that setting boundaries can save relationships, not destroy them. If the relationship is destroyed by boundaries, then it was not a healthy relationship. Seventh, forgiveness is a process. It is not immediate. It is not mandatory. And it is okay to take all the time you need. Eighth, redemption is possible. But it requires constant work. It requires actions, not just words. And it requires time. And ninth, never forget your worth. You are worth more than your money, more than your assets, more than what you can give. And you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. Always. My story does not have a fairy tale ending. It has a real ending, with scars, with lessons learned, with relationships rebuilt on solid foundations. David and I will never be what we were when Helen was alive, but we are something different now, something more honest, more mature, more real, and that, in the end, is more valuable than any fantasy of a perfect family. Thank you for listening to my story until the end. Thank you for being here. And remember, defending yourself is not selfishness. Setting boundaries is not cruelty. And protecting your peace is not cowardice. It is survival. It is dignity. It is self-love. And we all deserve that. Take care. Protect yourselves. Respect yourselves, and never, never allow anyone, absolutely anyone, to abuse your kindness, because kindness without limits becomes weakness. And you are not weak. You are strong. You are valuable, and you deserve to be treated as such. Forward, always forward, with wisdom, with dignity, and with your head held high. This was my story, the story of how I bought plane tickets to visit my son, and he notified me that he had moved without telling me. The story of how I almost lost everything, and the story of how I recovered it. Not everything, but the important things. My dignity, my peace, and a second chance with my son. If my story can help just one person detect the signs in time to defend themselves when necessary, to set boundaries with love but with firmness, then everything I went through was worth it. Live well, love with wisdom, and never forget that you are your priority. God bless you, and may you never have to go through what I went through. But if it happens to you, remember you're stronger than you think, and in the end, the truth always prevails. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and remember my final lesson. When someone asks you for something without respect, without consideration, without valuing you, it is okay to answer, I already made other plans. I will let you know later. Because your life, your time, your money, and your peace are yours. And no one has the right to take them from you. Forward, always forward.